welcome to Captain's Log episode 5. My name is Chris, also known as Rachel Garrett, on starbaseutc.com and stuwiki.org. This week, well, we'll have to do quite a hush-hush episode because I had a crazy weekend and don't have much time to record and cut this show, so you'll have to listen to a lot of R's and M's and so's or R's and ands. So apologies for that, but I thought that some kind of show is better than having no show at all. So let's dive into some track news. The biggest news, in my opinion, while I was on vacation was that there might be a 1-hour version of the Next Generation Season 2 episode, The Measure of a Man.
What is he? A machine. Is he? Are you sure? Yes. You see, he's met 2 of your 3 criteria for sentience, so what if he meets the 3rd? What is he then?
Well, it seems that there is a lot of additional footage for that episode, and that back in the day, the production crew created a 60 minutes version of that episode, opposed to the 45 minutes that were actually shown on TV. And they got a videotape from the original writer of Measure of a Man with that cut, and they are trying to reassemble the 60-minute version of A Measure of a Man for the Next Generation Season 2 Remastered Blu-ray set. And I'm crazy excited about that, because that actually means we will get new Star Trek The Next Generation footage. How crazy is that? I'm really excited. This isn't sure yet, but I really hope that this might come true. On San Diego Comic-Con, a new trailer for the Star Trek The Next Generation Season 2 Blu-ray set was shown. Really good stuff, gave me goosebumps. I encourage you to check out a YouTube link I'm posting in the show notes. And also at San Diego Comic-Con, there were some hints that CBS is really pleased with the reception of the remastering of Star Trek The Next Generation and the buzz around it and the support from the fans, and they're actually considering if they are remastering Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Up until now, I heard that Star Trek The Next Generation is the only show besides the original series that is popular enough that it would be financially viable to do the remastering for Blu-ray, but it seems that CBS is actually considering to continue doing this remastering process, this very elaborate remastering process for Deep Space Nine and possibly Voyager, if fans are voicing that they are willing to buy these sets and want to see that stuff. How cool would that be to see the Dominion War in full HD with, well, new CGI effects. On another note, Star Trek 2 or 12, well, depends on how you count it actually. The new one from J.J. Abrams finally got a title, but we don't know what that is. And rumor has it that there won't be a Star Trek column prefix to that title, so that this will be more along the lines of Batman Begins or The Dark Knight. Well, we'll have and wait and see, but Roberto Orci and the team needed to come up with a good name for the movie because Paramount was growing impatient, it seemed. So, that isn't all for track news, but that's all that I will cover in this show, and I'd like to continue with some gaming news. So the first bit of gaming news is related to Star Trek, or very much a Star Trek topic, so I didn't know where to put it. But the settlers of Catan are, well, reskinned and rethemed for Star Trek. This actually is a special edition that has been released on the German market, and for some time it seemed that it would be only available in Germany, so I didn't cover it on the show, but now 8 of 5 confirmed in his blog that, and has a press release on his blog, that this special edition of the Settlers of Catan will come to the US, and well, you might want to check that out, but don't expect too much from that edition. It seems that it is actually only a reskinned version of the classic board game with a reskinned mini expansion. So there will be starships and stuff like that in it, but no of the game mechanics have been tuned or changed to offer us any unique features related to Star Trek. But there are some really nice artwork from Franz Vohwinkel, a famous illustrator over here, and it looks really nice, but well, the game is basically the Settlers of Catan with a Star Trek skin. Well, and Valve was busy while I was gone. So first of all, they released a beta of their Source Filmmaker tool to the community. So now everyone can create movies like the trailers for Team Fortress and stuff with the original tool used by the developers. And I think Cryptic should really take a long, serious look at this tool. It seems to be quite powerful and people have adapted it really quickly. Just go on YouTube and Google for it, and you will see some really nice shorts created with that tool, and well, something like that would really go well with the Foundry and the dying machinima community in Star Trek Online. So please, Cryptic, take a look at this tool, and well, maybe you can spare 1 or 2 developers to start incorporating features like that in Star Trek Online and your other online games. On another note, Linux players will rejoice because Valve is porting Steam to Ubuntu Linux, and this seems to be not the only Linux distribution they are targeting, but they are starting with Ubuntu. And well, I personally don't like Steam. I don't like the model of forcing players to account bind their games and to regularly activate them, and otherwise the games are basically taken away. So I don't like the business model behind it, but well, Linux seems to be on the verge, or especially Ubuntu Linux seems to be on the verge of being taken very seriously by the computer industry. And well, this is a good thing, basically. Yeah, and finally, well, the big news that you expect me to talk about, obviously, is Season 6 Under Siege is live on holodeck. And I don't know how Cryptic did it, but it arrived on time. I was wrong. I told you that we'll have to wait weeks and weeks. But here it is, actually punctual. Kudos to Cryptic. This is really great to see the developer delivering on time. So, what's new? Well, probably you know that better than I, because I was on vacation when the patch hit, but let's go through it. First of all, Tholians. There's a really great chart from one of the developers who designed the new starships. He has a size comparison chart and everything. I'll link you to that in the show notes, and you'll be able to fight these Tholian starships in some of the new random encounters and fleet actions that have been added to the game. But there's a great deal of new content in the form of a Tholian incursion to a planet called Nukara. And Nukara is a new invasion zone, very much like the Defera Borg ground invasion. And best of all, this content is not time gated as the Defera ground invasion is, so you can go there anytime and do some missions on your own or with your friends. And well, it's quite fun because it's a Y-class world. Not too interesting visually, but you get to wear your environmental suit and shoot some Tholian ground critters in their natural environment. Well, the problem with that map currently is that I feel that the missions are too easy and the Tholian NPC group is not that interesting. I didn't do all the missions, I just went there and played a bit by myself. But the problem is, by myself I was able to complete the Jello missions, the missions that are designed for 2 or 3 players. And I shouldn't be able to do that on my own, actually. That's quite disturbing to see. I've heard that especially the final 5-man mission is very hard against the Tholian commander, but the easy and medium difficulty missions are way too easy, in my opinion. And then there is some new content, I don't know where to put it. It's first of all the no-win scenario and then colony invasion, and both of them appear in the PvE queue. So they are kind of a fleet action, but they are only 5-player missions. So it's very much like the Mirror Universe Incursion event, but there is no event on the event calendar regarding no-win scenario and colony invasion. So these are, well, some sort of small-scale fleet action or mini easy STFs, I don't know. They're quite fun. In no-win scenario you basically play the Kuwayaki Maru test against a random enemy group, and in colony invasion you run through a colony that is under attack by a random enemy critter group. Again, nothing major, nothing mind-boggling, just some new fun content, and I think especially the no-win scenario seems to be a fun way to try out and test a new build. Very much what Starbase 24 has been for some time for new players who want to go on a shakedown cruise with their new starship. Then finally there is the big new feature of Season 6, which is the Fleet Advancement System. We have talked about the system previously on the show. What you can do is very much as in the Duty Officer system, you can incrementally take new assignments and obtain bonuses, starships, items, unlocks for your starbase, and you try to level it. And well, this is not and this is no system that you play by your own, but with your fleet. So all members of a fleet are encouraged to contribute to projects because they are rewarded with fleet credits. 4 new missions, 4 new fleet actions have been added to the fleet advancement system, and if you played them, for example defending your starbase against a random enemy critter group, then you get rewards that you can use to advance your starbase. There has been a development post explaining new special projects, the first of which is a project which will allow you to lower the blast shields around your starbase windows. So when you complete this special project, you will be able to look into space from the interior of your starbase. You need to accept these special projects in a limited time window. You can only have 1 special project active at a time, and well, there will be more in the future. Well, one of the big features of Fleet Starbases was that in the Starbase shipyard you will be able to craft new refitted versions of known starships. And the notion was until now that you will need a certain item from the C-Store which will be at a low price point in order to obtain new Vice Admiral versions of known ships. So this would be a new way for players to obtain endgame starships without investing too much money into the C-Store if they just want to get a per character unlock for a starship. It turns out that this doesn't work, and turned out quite differently. So if you want to obtain the retrofitted Galaxy class cruiser, you will need to build up your starbase and level up your shipyard and complete some projects in order to be able to buy that ship. But you will need 4 fleet modules from the C-Store to actually complete that starship. And a fleet module comes at a price of $5 US. So do the math, you will need $20 to obtain the Galaxy class. You don't need these 4 modules if you already bought the Galaxy class from the C-Store. Well, that actually isn't that a good deal, is it? And then I mind you that from the C-Store you get an account unlock, and from the starbase you get only a character unlock, a one-time character unlock. If you discard your starship, you will need to rebuy it. So again, people who are putting money into the game will get significant advantages over people who, well, play it and only want to invest moderate amounts of money into the game, or subscribers. So I'd like to tell you more about the fleet advancement system and the intricate details and stuff like that, but actually I can't. With Season 6 we got a new mandatory account lock, account guard mechanism for Star Trek Online, but for some players it has turned out to be an account lock. The background for this is that not long ago Cryptic discovered that someone had hacked the Star Trek Online servers before the game launched, actually, and you might remember that all the old players had to reset their passwords and stuff like that. Well, probably in order to prevent that from happening in the future or becoming a problem again in the future, Cryptic decided that their games should be protected by an activation mechanism. And this activation mechanism forces you to enter a 5-digit code the first time you log into the game with a certain PC. You will get, or are supposed to get, an email with that 5-digit code. Well, the premise obviously seems to be that even if your account is compromised, that your email is not, and by having access to the email you will be able to prevent your account from being taken over by someone else. So far so good, but actually that system doesn't work too well, and my friends and I had a hard time last week when we tried to log into the game and meet and create a fleet and play a bit with the fleet advancement system. One guy couldn't log on because of technical issues, and 2 other guys couldn't log in because the game wouldn't let them, and they didn't receive any emails. And we waited for these emails to appear for like 2 or 3 hours, and then the next morning one of my friends got 9 emails from Cryptic with unlock codes, 5-digit pins, and all of them didn't work. So I don't know what had happened there, but actually we just waited 2 hours in front of our PCs and chatted over Mumble, and this was not a good experience, and basically we had to log out of the game and couldn't play because, well, the fleet members couldn't log into the game. So this was very frustrating, and I think all of us have now deactivated this security feature because we don't want to see that happen again. Then the Ferengi lockboxes have went away. Yay! Time to rejoice. Well, no, not actually, because the lobby store has been emptied in the process, and people who were collecting lobby crystals wanted to get the last piece for their Marauder Ferengi set are now screwed. But hey, here comes a new Tholian lockbox, and these started dropping on Thursday, and they came with a really long and elaborate release post by Brandon, and well, I encourage you to read that. It seems that Cryptic is not very happy with the way things went with the last lockbox. It seems to be that many players are not, well, maybe too many people are complaining and are creating too much negative buzz in the game or in the community, or there are not enough players buying the stuff, or I don't know. But this post is really apologetic in a way, trying to explain that chances are going up, which we cannot, well, confirm or deny because there are no official chance tables, which is a scandal on its own, but, well, the post is trying to get across the point that, well, this lockbox gives you more value than any lockbox before. I must say I'm not so excited about the box myself, because in the past with the Cardassian lockbox and also the Ferengi lockbox there were lots and lots of items that were unbound in that box which made their way on the exchange. So for example the fighter pads from the Ferengi lockbox were really nice even for people who didn't buy the lockboxes, but they were traded on the exchange and you could get some of the items from the lockbox without actually buying a lockbox, if that makes sense, or without buying a key for 1,000,000 energy credits. And I feel that with this lockbox, this very component has been very much removed, with the exception of the starships that you can get from the box, and there are a crazy amount of starships you can get from this box. There are modified versions of Federation and Klingon starships with their mirror universe counterparts, which have different bridge officer seating and stuff like that, and some Tholian starships. So these starships find their way to the exchange, and well, most of the items that were part of a lockbox in previous releases now have gone to the Logai store. So I think Cryptic is very much on the defensive with regard to lockboxes. Personally, I don't know why Cryptic isn't trying to create more window items. I'm very much in line with Havra from podcast UTC, who says that there's much more value for players in purchasing account unlocks from the C-Store, and the more cosmetic these unlocks are, the better. More ship interiors, more costumes, more ship customization options, stuff that doesn't tamper with the game mechanics, because right now we are in a state where a free-to-play player with his Rear Admiral or her Rear Admiral Sovereign class has no chance in hell against a fleet retrofit purchased for $20 from the C-Store. I don't know why Cryptic is opting for revenue options which hurt the game balance, basically, which allow people to buy their way to success, to becoming, well, more efficient in the game. And don't tell me that free-to-play players will ever be able to grind enough dilithium to buy these ships from the C-Store. They don't. I have a friend who tried to grind dilithium, very disciplined. There is no chance in hell. He is at about, I don't know, 500 C points right now. I don't know why we don't get more customization options, cosmetic options, and maybe something like skill boosts. That's perfectly fine with me because, well, you level fast enough in game anyway, and people who want to get their twink up faster, that's perfectly fine with me. Well, I just wanted to report on a very annoying bug. I don't know if you're experiencing that as well. I made the dreadful decision to create a perfect world account and link my accounts and stuff like that. And well, now I have a very peculiar problem when I switch characters. So now I have a perfect world login and I have a display name. But every time I switch characters on the login screen from Star Trek Online, my screen name is inserted as the login name, which is total nonsense, because that is not the name that I can log in games. So each time I switch characters, I do not only need to retype my password, but I also need to retype my login name. And this is pretty damn much annoying as hell. First of all, I don't know why 2 years after launch it's still required for us, when we switch characters, to go all the way back to the login screen, opposed to the character selection screen, which would be fine in my opinion and shouldn't be that difficult from a technical point of view. But now I don't only have to type in my password, which was annoying as hell, but also my login name. Please fix that. Then, for some reason, I don't know, the way I understand it, the fleet advancement system should be a sync for dilithium. It is obviously not, because the Zen price, it keeps going up and the dilithium price keeps dropping. Fleet should be burning through dilithium right now and should be very much in need of dilithium. Maybe it's part of the Tholian lockbox, but I think this time the lockboxes didn't have so much impact on the economy per se. I don't know why the dilithium price isn't going up. I really don't know, because I would imagine that smaller fleets should be buying a lot of dilithium in the dilithium exchange. Except the system isn't that well balanced. There has been a noticeable price increase of duty officers on the energy credits exchange. So obviously the fleet advancement system is burning through DOFs quite quickly. Basically prices have doubled in the first week. I don't know why this isn't happening for dilithium. Especially since the foundry is offline and you have no easy way to collect dilithium anymore. And also the turnover contraband mission has an increased requirement of 5 pieces of contraband instead of only 3 pieces of contraband in order to obtain 2000 dilithium for that. So ways to easily grind dilithium have been removed from the game, and a new game system which is supposed to eat up dilithium has been introduced, and still the price for dilithium keeps dropping slowly, or has at least stayed the same over the last 2 weeks. I don't know why that is. Yeah, I just mentioned it briefly. The foundry is still offline. After season 4, which was a really big disaster for the foundry, Cryptic decided to turn off the foundry when releasing season 6, and then quietly working in the background to rebuilding the foundry and republishing the missions. And obviously this seems to be a very long and complicated process, and Brandon hoped to get the foundry up and running last week. It is not up and running, and they discovered some new bugs, and well, keep your fingers crossed, because it seems like we will need to wait a bit longer for Foundry to be back online for playing, and even a bit longer for building new missions. So that is all for Star Trek Online news this week, and just one quick notice. Please go over to StarTrekOnlineWiki.org if you're part of the Star Trek Online Wiki community. We have 3 votes up and running, and we would like to get the input from the community regarding 3 very important changes that are occurring to Star Trek Online Wiki. You have time to vote until the 1st of August, so please log into Star Trek Online Wiki.org if you have a stake there and want to shape its future. That would be very much appreciated. So, thanks for watching. This will be I'm sorry, this was a very rough cut of a show, a very hush-hush episode, but I hope you agree with me that having some show is better than having no show. So, see you next time, take care, and good night and good luck.